This marks the 20th part of this manhwa. If you haven't viewed the previous parts, you can access it by clicking the I button located above, or the link is provided in description. Let's aim for 200 likes on today's video. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's begin our recap video for today's manhwa. Yang Daechun continue with his talk. The fifth young master was not murdered by other young masters. He has caught the spy. He was originally a messenger that frequented visits, the Daming Palace, and the 8 families. But it is said he was caught after leaving Daming Palace 2 hours and went somewhere without reporting to his superiors. When he arrived, he already committed suicide, but this fell out of his body. Gong Bok-jin said that is undoubtedly the Heaven-Destroying Palace's token. Does that mean that one of the young masters is secretly colluding with the Heaven-Destroying Palace? Yang Daechun note they can't rule out that possibility. For the young masters, being left behind in the competition for successor is tantamount to death. The Heaven-Destroying Palace leader must have aimed for that point and approached them. Myeong-jung think Heaven-Destroying Palace leader. Is he planning to cause great bloodshed in this land again? Gong Bok-jin thinks to himself as well, the reason why they went out of their way to target the 5th young master, who was left behind in the successor competition. Is it to keep the first young master, Myeong-cheon, in check, whom the 5th young master supported? In that case, the one which colluded with the Heaven-Destroying Palace is most likely the 2nd young master, or the 3rd young master. But its thoughts were interrupted by Myeong-jung saying it doesn't matter who came into contact with the Heaven-Destroying Palace. Left Envoy summoned the 3 groups and 4 divine squads immediately, and Right Envoy set out for Mount Kunlun together with the 4 great guardians and observed their movements. They will prepare for battle against the Heaven-Destroying Palace. They replied in response by saying as he ordered. 3rd day after arriving at Mount Hua, Woon thinks who would have thought it would take this long. As they arrived at Mount Hua, she asked, is it really possible to cure her heavenly true yin chi here? Woon replied yes, and explained the red moon just happened to rise too. The world is made up of the harmony of yin and yang. On the day when the red moon with enormous yin energy rises, the ground emits corresponding yang chi. With the strong yang chi from Mount Hua, he will be able to overcome the heavenly true yin chi. She asked what if Mount Hua's disciples suddenly attack them. Woon note he should be able to detect them with his chi sense. Honestly, if they really attack them, there's nothing they can do. Back to present, Woon thinks he has been collecting the maximum amount of yang chi that Mount Hua could emit, purified it in his dantian, and poured it into the princess' body. But her heavenly true yin chi is stronger than expected. He can't penetrate it like this. Now there is only one option left. After drawing in all the yang chi flowing through Mount Hua's earth veins and opening all his acupuncture points at the same time, he will pour it into her without purifying it. If he fail, it won't end with just chi deviation. All of his blood vessels, including the 12 meridians and 8 extraordinary vessels, can burst. But there's no other way. A little later, the explosion happened that caused the bird to fly away. Inside the cave, Woon remarked it was a success. Both of them then fell onto the ground in extreme exhaustion. A little later, as Woon regained consciousness, he thinks, what's this warm energy? It may be spring or plum blossom. Is this a new type of chi deviation? However, he then realized that it didn't appear as he had thought earlier. Both his meridians and pressure points are normal. Even his inner chi has increased, and the turbid chi has decreased. At the moment, someone said he seemed to have come to his senses. Woon immediately stand up and ask, who is it? The old person sitting on the ground replied, that's something he want to ask. A person who is not a member of Mount Hua sect came to Mount Hua and touched the earth veins. Woon turned around while asking what about the princess. The person replied, don't worry, since Mount Hua is different from Qingqing. Woon thinks Mount Hua is different from Qingqing? That means he knows everything that happened at Qingqing? The person stands up from the ground saying his back hurt. Woon thinks that pattern is clearly Mount Hua's plum blossom, and he thanked him for his help. The person responded by saying it's only right to save someone who has passed out. Anyway, to think he has already reached this level. It seems like he is a young man who caused a lot of commotions at Qingqing. Why did he do that? Woon replied, because he was someone who harmonized with Taoism. The person asked in what way? Woon explained Qingqing was supposed to be as clear as the sky, but he was not. The person stated, what a brilliant young man. Then, he has one more question. It's not like he used transfiguration art or body reconstruction. And, ask why on earth does the foundation of a youngster who has not even reached 20 yet give the impression of a man who is close to being 40? Woon thinks, did he see through his lucky encounter? If he possesses this much chi. And he asks, could it be that he is the sword sage? The person replied, that's just a false name that people make up at will. He is just an old man waiting to die. Woon quickly. Mount Hua sword sage, Zhang Tian. Today could be the last day of his life, and he exclaimed his junior wishes to learn from his senior. Sword sage asked, he hasn't answered his question yet. Woon stated, let's move to another location. Sword sage agreed. Shortly after, both of them prepared for combat. Jin Xian, worried, shouted, great martial uncle. Jin Ming asked, that young man is taking on great martial uncle's sword? Sword sage asked both of them to don't interfere. Jin Ming questioned, what do he mean, great martial uncle? The man is the one who killed Taoist master Zihu. Sword sage remarked, please, he will giving his all to this fight. Please don't disturb them, and no matter what the outcome of this match is, they will have to accept it. And turned to Woon and said, let me ask you a favor too. If you win, let. Woon agreed. Jin Ming stated, don't worry, there's no way great martial uncle would lose. Woon remarked, of course. Then sword sage rushed forward while exclaiming, now, let's verify it. How there are 2 lives within you. Woon think he couldn't even see him draw his sword while dodging the attack that hit the mountain wall, causing it to break apart, as he think this is purple cloud divine art. Compared to the opponents he has fought with so far, he's on a completely different level. Sword sage blocks the attack of Woon while saying honestly, he has no interest in Murim anymore. So it doesn't matter whether he is the culprit or not. Woon think there are no sword collusion explosions or chi wave. Is he in the peak level of the unrestrained realm? And he asked, maybe he is at profound realm? Sword sage remarked, no, he hasn't reached that level yet. When he reach his age, it's actually not difficult to see it. The only thing he is curious about is the truth of the invisible world, because he is afraid of death. Woon asked, really? Sword sage stated he has a few questions for him. Woon said, please go ahead. Sword sage asked what changes and what does not change. Woon replied, what changes is the body, and what does not change is the mind. Sword sage asked, will or time? Woon replied, where there is a will there is a time, and where there is a time there is a will. Then sage asked, what is life and what is death? Woon replied, it's what he thought was there, but it isn't, and what he thought wasn't is actually there. Sage asked, can he tell him what he saw? Woon replied, even though it only lasted for a short while. Death was as cold as ice and as still as the moon. Sword sage remark, as expected of a martial genius, to think he is absorbing everything. Woon asked, so did he find the answers he was looking for? Sword sage replied, he thinks so. And inquired, since when did he go easy on him? Woon stated, it's been about 2 hours. Then he will take his leave. Sword sage remarked, go and see the wide world that he has not seen. Jin Ming and Jin Xian both worryingly exclaimed, great martial uncle, is he alright? While moving toward him, sword sage stated, a moment of birth, a moment of death. Yesterday is regret, tomorrow is fear. Every moment is now, so there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. Then he closed his eyes with a smile and both of them stated, great martial uncle has ascended. Meanwhile, Woon think it is said that stars appear small because they are far away, but in reality they are very large. Just as he cannot confirm the birth and death of stars, the stars won't be able to look into his yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That's why, if the life of stars is nothing but a moment, their lives will be like that too. A moment of birth, a moment of death. He won't forget it. Woon recall what he said to Sword Sage when he asked him to tell him what he saw. Woon answer, even though it only lasted for a short while. Death was as cold as ice and as still as the moon. That's why, if the life of stars is nothing but a moment. The spar with the Sword Sage has provided him with new insight. A while later, the guards and Seojin met up with Woon and Zhu Jialing at canyon near Mount Hua. The guards asked, Your Highness, has she been well? She remarked she is glad everyone is safe. Guard replied, her complexion has improved a lot, Your Highness. Seojin think, did he really treat the heavenly true yin qi, something that many physicians and experts were helpless against? Then Woon stated, then it's best if they part ways here. She asked, right here? But why? Woon stated, now that the 9 great sects, 1 great clan have lost the Sword Sage, they will now dispatch their full force. Any more than this could be dangerous for them, Your Highness. It would be better for them to join the embroidered uniform squad and return to Beijing. Meanwhile, Seojin thinks, Sword Sage? Is he perhaps talking about the sword sage of Manhwa? She asked where is he planning to go now, and she thinks she want to hold on to him. Woon note he has to go back to where he came from, there's a lot to do. The dragon head leader interrupted his speech by angrily calling him a bastard. Where do he think he is going? Even the commandery princess will not be able to stop him today. Embroidered uniform squad captain shouted, Your Highness, this humbled Qingxiu has come. She asked could it be that the embroidered uniform squad would not be of help to him, but she can contact the royal family right now. Woon replied no, this is between the Murim alliance and their divine cult. Please go back. Dragon head leader stated they finally met. They have been chasing him for 3 days and 3 nights. Zixian reported he sent scouts to Mount Hua. There will be no way for him to escape. Woon stated no, Mount Hua will not chase after him, because that's what the sword sage promised him. Dragon head leader thinks sword sage? Isn't he in seclusion training right now? Woon continued by saying let him make a suggestion. If he win against him in a one-on-one fight, please release the heaven and earth's net. Then, he will spare the disciples, who came with him. Zixian became angry and shouted arrogant bastard. Now that he is cornered like a rat, he want to resort to trickery. Dragon head leader stopped him by saying he is not a match for him, and he stated he is making quite a bold suggestion. Dragon head leader asked what if he refuse. Woon replied at that time, no one here will return alive. Dragon head leader remarked alright, he also don't intend to pay off his successor's debt by borrowing other people's help. In order to discipline a misbehaved dog, it's a must to hit it in the head. Woon think is he planning on blocking his vision? The dragon head leader employed the dog beating staff technique against Woon. However, his staff only struck Woon's after image. Clan leader tried to back away but Woon seized the staff from his grasp. Dragon head leader attempted to reclaim the staff using the Mastiff Gnaw staff retrieval technique. To his astonishment, Woon swiftly maneuvered behind him, and caught off guard struck him with the staff. Then Woon asked is he looking for this? It is light and strong, so it would be perfect to use as a mop handle. Dragon head leader stated he dare insult the divine item of their beggar clan, the dog-hitting staff. He shouted he won't let him off, as he rushed forward to attack Woon, who skillfully dodged the assault. He stated this is an attack that contains his life's chi. Woon think a moment of birth, a moment of death. In a moment, countless lives are born and die. If he can split a second and comprehend it as an eternity, if only he could find freedom in time. And he defeat the dragon head leader. The next day, at Kaifeng's Wuqian, the Vice Alliance leader and the leader of Mount Tai sect shouted how can this happen, to think Mount Hua sect would say they didn't know about the presence of the culprit in Mount Hua. And while the beggar clan drove him into a corner, they still let him go. Aren't they ashamed of the name Heaven and Earth's Net? Jin Ming think they can't disobey Great Martial Uncle's words. Elder O stated it is said that the Dragon Head clan leader made an agreement with the culprit. He is sorry. Zhuqian asked but it's not, like the Dragon Head clan leader died, so why did the beggar clan do that? Elder O asked is he not going to shut up right now? Xuanjun, the leader Wudong's sect stated please stop, and asked then what on earth did he do while the culprit was passing through Shishan, Vice Alliance leader? Zhuqian asked is he siding with Mount Hua and the beggar clan because he is one of the 9 great sects. One great clan? Where on earth has the authority of the Murim alliance gone? Isn't this all happening because the alliance leader was only favoring the 9 great sects, 1 great clan? Jin Ming exclaimed if he had seen that person, he wouldn't be able to say this. His skills were beyond that of his great martial uncle. Zixian added they also lost their sect leader. The culprit's martial realm was beyond imagination. Zhuqian questioned does that mean they are scared of the demonic cult leader's son? In that case, he don't think they can use the words Heaven and Earth's Net any longer. Alliance leader, is he going to keep watching like that? Shouldn't they immediately dispatch all the forces of the Murim alliance and start eradicating the demonic cult? Nan Gongmin, the leader of Murim alliance replied now is the time to measure the demonic cult's power. He already sent some scouts. Zhuqian asked measure their strength. Does that mean he is scared of them too? Nan Gongmin replied he is rather afraid that then he will end up eradicating places other than the demonic cult. As Zhuqian move away while saying please contact them when they have made the decision to eradicate the demonic cult. Until then, Mao Tai will not attend the general meeting. A week later, Sima Jin think for his lordship to suddenly look for him. What is going on? The 7th young master will return soon though. Entering the room, she was taken aback and she think, what on earth is this situation? except for the right envoy and the 4 great guardians. Everyone is here. She bowed down and exclaimed. The Violet Light Group leader, Sima Jin, greets his lord. Looks like she is late. Myeong-jung stated. Not at all, have a seat. Jin, she probably already knew about Woon's true realm. She answered in the affirmative. Myeong-jung continued by saying it is said that Woon won against Taoist Master Zihu, Dragon Head clan leader, and even the Sword Sage. Do she think that's possible? She replied it is true that she confirmed 7th young master's potential with her own eyes. Myeong-jung note even if an ordinary person trains his whole life, he cannot become even a second-rate warrior, let alone a master. Also, although he reached the peak realm early on, he might not be able to cross the gate of transcendence until the day he dies. That's what enlightenment is. Some people talk about various methodologies, but is it really that simple? At the moment, gate guards announce the 7th young master has arrived. As Woon enters, he greets his father. As he has something to check, Woon asked how can he draw his sword in the presence of his father. Myeong-jung asked is he going to disobey his order? Woon replied then he will follow it and draw his sword. Then Myeong-jung gathered his chi in his palm and launched an attack at Woon, who taken aback by all of this. But Woon blocked the attack in time, and think why is he suddenly acting like this? Meanwhile Myeong-jung rushed forward and attacked Woon again that he blocked with his sword. Yan Daiching stated that's the heavenly demonic divine art. The person think the 7th young master just took on their lord's attack head on. As Myeong-jung moved backward, Woon think the dark sword couldn't withstand the power of the heavenly demonic divine art. Myeong-jung stated he ordered the 7th young master. From now on, he will be the vice cult leader. That shocked all of them that are gathered. Myeong-jung continued by saying they saw it too, although they don't know what happened thus far. The 7th young master has clearly reached the unrestrained realm. Their cult is the epitome of honest strength. No matter what has happened, what is important is loyalty and the strength itself. Yan Daiching note the other young masters will definitely oppose this, my lord. Myeong-jung replied he appointed him as the vice cult leader, not young leader. And what happens next is all up to the new vice cult leader to handle on his own. At Rising Palace, inside Supreme Harmony Hall, Myeong-cheon asked what? Father appointed the youngest brother as the vice cult leader? Does that mean the rumor that the youngest was causing trouble in the Central Plains was actually true? The person reported. It said that the Lord tested him in front of everyone, and the 7th young master took on his attack with his sword. White Hidden Ghosts think he took on Lord's heavenly demonic divine art. He wasn't wrong then. How could this happen? Myeong-cheon stated it's all over now. Who would have thought he would be defeated by the youngest, not the 2nd or 3rd? Yan Wiching, the demonic soul group leader note it's not over yet. Although the 7th young master is having the advantage, isn't he just a vice cult leader? It is the young cult leader who inherits the position of the cult leader. Please join hands with the 2nd young master. Myeong-cheon inquire he want him to join hands with Gak? Wiching stated now is not the time to be picky, young master. White Hidden Ghost added what the demonic soul group leader said is correct. Please join hands with the other young masters, not just the 2nd young master. It is said that the inauguration ceremony of the vice cult leader will be held as soon as the 5th young master's funeral is over. There's no time to be considering options now. Then Myeong-cheon order contact his brothers immediately. Meanwhile, at West Quarters, all of them exclaim they greet the vice cult leader of the great heavenly demonic cult. Woon thanked them and stated but this is just the beginning. As all of them bowed down before Woon and they think he has finally become the vice cult leader. They had no doubt that he could do it. Young master, Kong asked however, he heard that his sword was broken. Woon replied yes. It's such a precious sword you made yourself. Kong note it's alright. Peng Hong Chung and the Domination just happened to send them a precious piece of dark iron, saying it was a gift from the king. He think they can ask Jean to make a sword with it. Woon stated alright, he will leave it to him, and please send a gift to the Domination as well. Jong-moon asked now that he is the vice cult leader, shouldn't there be an inauguration ceremony? Woon replied he heard that the right envoy has gone to Tibet to retrieve the 5th brother's body. That's why the inauguration ceremony will be held immediately after the funeral of his 5th brother. Then Kong note he must be careful. Other young masters will not remain still. Woon replied he know. That's why he has brought reliable supporters. Then the person greet Woon saying Yangzhou Qian family patriarch Qian Jushu greets the new vice cult leader of the heavenly demonic cult. The person behind him also greet Woon saying wise sage group leader Qian Juchi greets the new vice cult leader. Woon think the Yangzhou Qian family is a family with the greatest power and wealth among the great Mountain 8 families. Since there was no need to take the initiative, they haven't chosen to support any young masters. Moreover, the patriarch's younger brother is Qianjuqi, the leader of Wise Sage Group, one of the 3 greatest groups. Qianjishu stated from now on, their Yangzhou Qian family, the Wise Sage Group and the Violet Light Group will be his strong supporters. Woon thinketh the existing Guizhou Shi family, Violet Light Group, Yangzhou Qian family, and Wise Sage Group are willing to help them. There is nothing more to ask for, and Woon remarked he looked forward to their cooperation. A week later, at Daming Palace, at the 5th young master's funeral, Woon note as he his brother body, "May you rest in peace, brother." A little later, outside the main hall all of them gathered. Woon looked around and think, as expected, Myeonggak didn't come. What on earth is he planning? Then Myeong-jung stated it's been a long time since they gathered together like this. They have gathered today to comfort his 5th son, and at the same time to announce the inauguration of the new vice cult leader. Vice cult leader, come forward and take a drink from me. Both the eldest and 3rd brothers harbor disdain towards Woon, branding him as a bastard. Do he think he would simply allow this to happen? As Woon drink what his father pour for him. At the moment, outside some people are prepared to attack Woon. However, Woon asked his father, may he share a drink with his brothers? His father agreed on that. Then Woon utilized his chi to distribute the drink to all his present brothers, stunning them all. Then he stated, please enjoy. These are the drinks he, the vice cult leader, want to offer to the young masters. The 20th part of this manhwa concludes here. The 21st part will be shared once there are at least 3 to 4 new chapters released. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. Catch you in the next episode.